Let me just sort of ask you, because I think that anybody who watches the Smith program and enjoys the quality of these games often wonders, what's Coach Hersey thinking? So, I don't know, put some words around how you are processing what just happened tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I think we try to have a high expectation, um, regardless of the rotation, regardless of the score, regardless of the time on the clock. I mean, there's a certain level of basketball we're trying to seek every time we play and continue to grow and get better. And, March is going to be here before we know it. So, it's really taking advantage of each game and, really every possession in it. And having a really high standard of the things that we have control over, right? Like our rebounding, our ability to possess the ball without turnovers, and shot selection, and how we're defending and how we're rotating. I mean, those things are very fundamental, but they're critical in terms of sort of building a team that has the discipline to do all of those things most of the time.
So, one of the things that, as I'm sitting here listening to you, I think of like great artists, maestros in music, and you know that when they're like looking at what they produce, they're finding their mind going to those blemishes. They're looking at the parts that need to be improved. So I'm going to ask you a different question. This is a 7-0 team. None of these players were starters last year. This has been a remarkable coaching job. It's been a remarkable growing of this of this particular team. Talk to me about what you're feeling proud about and what you're feeling satisfied about in regard to what's happened for this first part of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you go down and you get some injuries on some key veteran players who have played a lot of minutes for you in big moments, you're looking to that next group. I mean, this is their moment. This is their time to step up. This is early season basketball, but for a team like us, every game matters to who's hosting the NCAA tournament and what your trail might look like in terms of that. So, it was I would say that the first 7 games we definitely had some of our role players from last year step into a much bigger role with a much bigger spotlight on them, and they're figuring it out. And I wouldn't say it's always been pretty. I certainly wouldn't say it's been full 40 minutes every game, but, we're making enough plays early on here to make sure we're getting the W's and trying to do that collectively, and having our defense and our rebounding sort of lead the way. And the offensive piece is, always a work in progress. But, Uda, for example, really just has done a really good job leading this team to a 7-0 record. When our All-American point guard goes down, like that's a big position to fill. But the team rallied around her. That's the other part, right? So, it's the players stepping up, but it's the team rallying around those who have these new big roles to fill.
Well, and I think that, it's both tactical and strategic, but it's also psychological, that you've got to help these players take the step to be on the center stage. And say a little bit how you make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our practices are about, it's half execution and half about mindset and handling adversity and how you respond and how you handle yourself, how you come together as a group when things are hard, and how you communicate more and how you become problem solvers. And that is it's a big part of the game, and it needs to be practiced every day. And, we try to create scenarios where our players are getting exposed to that. And that's our job as coaches, right?
Yeah.
That's the preparation that allows them to play free and hopefully with a high level of IQ.
Let's switch the conversation for 1 minute. This was a very special, beautiful halftime. The teachers in this community were honored in such a thoughtful and compelling way. And can you say a little bit about, like, what's the idea behind, honoring teachers and then honoring staff at Smith on another game and honoring nurses? I know that this is a big feature that's, for you, bigger than basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time really, like, reflecting what it means to have gratitude in your life and how to practice it and how to live it. And I think it's very grounding. I think it's very soulful. I think it's a good mix with the intensity of the competition that we try to produce here. And, we have a really unique position as a part of Smith and this community here to do more than just play basketball, and it's kind of on us to make sure we're maximizing that. In terms of the Teacher Appreciation Day, I mean, obviously we got together as a team. We wanted to focus on, throughout the course of the year, sort of like the fabric and glue of society. Who are these people, and how can we get them to Ainsworth, and how can we really show our appreciation for what they're doing? And, it wasn't but, 10 seconds before our entire team, in unison basically yelled like, teachers. We got to get teachers here.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they've all had great teachers. They've had teachers who have really impacted them in not only the educational aspirations that they have, but that also in the mindset, in the resilience, in their ability to, focus on, how to grow every day and how to maximize their time in the classroom, but within groups. And it's just it was a really important day for us. We tried to go the extra. We really wanted to show, the group that came tonight, that they mean a lot to us. So their everyday grind is recognized, and I think we all have a lot of everyday grinds, but we wanted to really make sure we were showing up for them tonight.
It was a really special moment. And let me ask you this, thinking about gratitude, and can you think about some teachers in your life who you'd like to recognize here at this moment?
I've had some great teachers. I mean,
yeah.
I think, when I was really young, I had two teachers. One, Mrs. Bodwell. She was my third grade teacher. And she went beyond in terms of caring for the individual. It was sort of that Maya Angelou quote that we read in the intro, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember specifically what I learned. I remember how she made me feel.
Yeah.
On the daily basis, right? Like every single day, and she had a way about her of sort of bringing the energy, right? And anybody who can bring energy to a group and elevate, that's such a gift. What a precious gift. So she was someone who was just really, really, really like special to me. And then in high school, I had Miss Kraus, who was a Colby grad, and I took AP English, and that was stretching myself, no doubt. But I went to her for help, probably 4 out of 5 days. And she just sat with me and taught me and was patient with me. And, it really built my confidence in something that I wouldn't say I was excellent at. I think I was good, but, she really pushed me. And, those are the things I remember, right? Being pushed. And, another teacher who, just sat with you and made you feel like you were the one in that moment that meant the most to her, and so, those are the memories, and those are the things we got to try to celebrate today.
Well, I'm going to bring this to a close by making two observations. The first one is this, is that I think you are being humble. I think that the coaching job that you and your staff have done has been pretty astonishing. This 7-0 start is sensational. You played some really good teams, and to be able to sort of step up and create the sort of connectiveness that is sort of being demonstrated on the court is just pretty awesome. Second thing I want to say is I want to thank you for all of Smith College and for all this Northampton community, because you bring the energy that elevates so much of what goes on this campus, and this basketball program is pretty special, and it's been incredible for a lot of people to follow. So thank you for that. That's energy and elevation, as you said about teachers. So you're a coach, you're a teacher, you're a leader, and you're doing a great job, and it's really fun to be able to sort of be able to watch all this. So thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Appreciate all the time
Yep.
and energy.